Brought to you by DMRHosting.com. Unlimited data storage, unlimited data transfer, antivirus, and spam protection, along with 24/7, 365 support via chat or phone. Get started today with a 30-day free trial at DMRHosting.com. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, and today I've got a Father's Day cup that says, "I don't need Google, my husband knows everything." Given to me by my wife. It's a fun cup to have. And today's guest is, we've had him here before, and we'll have him again. He's from narrowbridgefilms.com. Please welcome Sam Platizky.
Hello, everybody. I have a Diet Coke.
Fantastic. As long as we're getting caffeinated.
Yes, that's right.
So Sam's here to talk about a film he's got premiering at the Orlando Film Festival next week called Tales from the Narrow Bridge. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Tales from the Narrow Bridge is Narrow Bridge's fifth feature film. It is a horror anthology. It has, I believe, 9 stories total, 8 short segments, and 1 wraparound that connects all of the stories together. And we started our festival journey in May, and we've been having a good time. So pretty successful. And it's written by myself, my brother Isaac, Jenna Kildosher, and Billy Farley. And it's directed by a whole bunch of directors: Joey Mosca, Jaylene Perez, my brother Isaac, myself, Jenna Kildosher, Billy Farley, and Sammy Saad, and stars an amazing cast that I just can't name every single person in it, but it's an amazing cast.
We've got a trailer for it. Let's go ahead and show that right now, and then we'll come back after it completes.
Cool.
The Wyrmwood Forest, about 3 miles west from New York City. Legend tells us of a group of early settlers that lived there. Until, one night, something evil rose from the depths and slaughtered them all. The Wyrmwood Devil.
Tell me why we're telling scary stories again.
It's part of the legend. The Wyrmwood Devil is supposed to really like scary stories. It's supposed to be like catnip for him.
All right, I've got a story.
You gonna tell us a story about how somebody was murdered by insomnia?
Worse. My wife just died. What if we could bring her back?
Have you ever looked at your reflection and felt like someone else was staring back?
You fucking idiot! What did you do?
Holy shit, did she just confess to murder?
Yes, she did.
What do we do?
What do we do? What do you mean, what do we do? She just confessed to murdering 4 people. We arrest her.
4 possessed people who try to kill her. Demon!
Enough!
Actually, kind of reminds me of a story.
If you were a cop and you stumbled onto that scene, or the aftermath of any horror movie scene, like, what would you put in that report? Like, if I walked into that house, I would have been like, fuck!
Well, there we go.
Hey.
Now, this is definitely not for kids.
No, it's got nudity, it's got violence, it's got language. It's a rated R one if we were rated by anybody.
Yeah. So, all of these shorts were filmed in succession, or were they just put together?
So we had this idea. My brother and I have always loved horror anthologies, like Tales from the Dark Side, Creepshow, Twilight Zone movie, all that stuff. And at a certain point after our last feature, we were just doing shorts for a while because you need like a break from doing a feature. And we talked about like, doing exclusively some horror shorts because we'd heard horror does well. So do some horror shorts, horror comedy shorts. We're into comedy. So, and like put them all together into our own thing. So we didn't have like an idea of which ones we were going to put in there, what we were going to do. But we, over time, we put it together, the idea, and we started filming like in 2018. We started filming this. We started filming just the shorts that, like, I think two of the shorts Isaac wrote, and with the idea that they were going to be in the feature. And then we had to take a break because one of our other movies was on the festival circuit, so we had to follow that around, and that cost a bunch of money. But in 2019, we started really. We had like our idea was like really like solidifying. We had the wraparound story idea, and we were ready to go. We shot one of the shorts that Jenna did, Mirrors, and then we did the wraparound, and then we were taking another short break because we were going to California and going to the film market there. And then we filmed some more shorts in early 2020, and then COVID hit, and then we were stuck. We edited a bunch while we were in lockdown, and there was nothing else we could do. And then as soon as we could start filming again, we did. So we just knocked out the rest of them, and it took a while, like longer than we thought, 4 years to finally finish it. But it takes what it takes. We always had it planned that we weren't gonna film it all at once because we did want to we wanted to treat it like we would give the shorts as much attention as we could. So we would like pre-production the short, shoot the short, and like really give it attention, and then take a little break, and then go back to it, do another one, and do that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I like the idea of the campfire stories. It takes the idea of someone like the crypt keeper, but expands on that and turns it around a little bit, because when you have different people put together and they're sitting around talking, they're all going to have different stories, and they're all going to be inspired by one another. It's like, oh, well, that reminds me of this, or that reminds me of that. And the clip we saw of your character at the campfire talking about how the police would react reminded me of that. And it seems like it's really natural how each story progresses from one to the other.
Yeah, we worked. We wanted to make sure that the wraparound was as good as anything else, because we've seen some like anthologies where the wraparound is just like an afterthought, where it's just like the Crypt Keeper just opening a book and saying blah 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 blah. We wanted to make it its own like entertaining thing that people could really like follow and enjoy. And so once we had the idea of which shorts we were putting in, we customized the wraparound to that so that it would work together a little bit better. And so it was fun.
That's really nice that you took the time to do that, and each one seems to look has as much quality and effort and love put into it as the others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we try to do like different genres of horror in each one too. We didn't want to like limit ourselves to anything. So there's a slasher movie, there's like a psychological horror short, there's a 1930 style silent comedy horror movie that we did in there. There's like 1980s style horror comedy that we did in there. So we try to like really like make it different so people could just get like a whole gamut of like horror and horror comedy and all that stuff. And each of the directors and the crews and the cast, they really put everything into it. So it was really nice.
So what was the process like in choosing the directors for the films that you wrote?
It varied. So Jenna Kildosher directed and wrote Mirrors. She wrote Mirrors, and she brought it to us a while back. And we said, you want to put it in the horror anthology? And she said, sure. She wants to direct it too. So we said, sure. That's easy peasy. We wrote the silent comedy, the 1930s style one together. So I initially, like I said, as soon as we were coming up with the idea, I was like, I want to direct this. I like the idea. I know what I see in my head. I want to do it. Isaac wrote another one called Don't Look Back. And I was like, I see this in my head. I want to direct it. So we called dibs a lot, or we would just, and then at a certain point we would be hanging out just at film festivals or just in each other's houses or whatever. And that's how Jaylene Perez directed one of the shorts, two of the shorts, but we had to take one out for time and other factors. But she was, she just started directing in the middle of while we were doing this. She directed her own first short. So we were talking. She was like, and we were talking about the next thing that we had to do, and she was like, "I'll direct it." And we were like, "Go ahead, you're in. Welcome to the team." So it was a bit of that stuff.
And did the pandemic slow you down a little bit?
Oh yeah, it set us back about a year. Yeah, all told, just because we couldn't film anything in that first like couple months, so we couldn't do what we wanted to do. But once we got back into it, we did it. But it was also slow going because we wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable, that the locations we would use were big enough so that we could distance when we had to, and all that stuff. So it did set us back, and it was harder to get a location, and it was harder to get people to come back together each time we had a thing. So we started actually using Airbnbs as locations because they were still open and they were COVID compliant and all that stuff. And so for like three of our things, we would go to these different houses. One in like the middle of the Poconos. It was a beautiful house in the middle of the woods where we could shoot, and one in South Jersey that was like by the water, really beautiful place. And we were just able to separate ourselves when we wanted to, and just have fun. So that was cool. It was a nice discovery that probably wouldn't have happened if we didn't have COVID.
I know Bill's used an Airbnb before as a location. He was able to secure it for a week, and we crammed a full feature
Wow.
film into that week, and it was nonstop the whole time. I did several different jobs throughout the whole thing to make sure that it got done while I could. I mean, because I got the kids and everything else. But all in all, yeah, he got about 2 hours worth of usable footage out of what we did that week.
That's
So,
great.
I mean, it's a great team. It's always a team effort.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody pulling together. And guess I got no more to say about Airbnbs. Other than you can, like you said, you can find some really nice locations that way.
Oh yeah, and we asked in advance. We told them what our intentions were because we didn't want to be filming a movie and then have them somehow know that we're doing it. Like, what are you guys doing? You can't do this. So we always and we got rejected from a couple. They said we don't want that in our house, and we're like, fine, we'll find one that does. And we were stuck. We were lucky. We were successful.
Yeah. I can see that there might be some issues of people wondering what kind of film are you doing.
Yeah, we told them. We were like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's nothing pornographic. It's we're not going to get blood all over the house. Don't worry. We're good. Although we did one of our shorts, the one that you see at the end with the cop and all the blood and everywhere. That was our production designer's house, Maggie Perez, and she was like, "I'll I'm the production designer, so I'll cover my house in blood, fake blood for you guys." And it's like, you guys just got to pay for paint. So we paid for paint, and then she painted the walls, and then we paid for more paint because that didn't cover it up the whole time. So I think now, 2 years later, I think she's covered up the blood. So that's good.
Okay. Well, she could have went with a pink.
Yeah. I think she went with white though. She wanted beige or white or one of those things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it took a little bit.
Yeah. That's gonna, and it does kind of, it will seep through and come back out if you don't, if you use the best kind of blood.
Yeah. I know it seeped through. It seeped through a couple times.
What's going to happen once you finish the film circuit? Are you gonna guys look for distribution on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a bunch since May, and we've got the Orlando Film Festival next week. And as soon as we come back from Orlando, I think we're pretty comfortable saying we're probably at the midpoint of our festival journey. So we're going to start reaching out to different companies, different streaming platforms on our own. We'll reach out to different distribution companies, and we'll see what we can get done. Horror is big right now, especially original horror is the thing. Terrifier 2 is doing crazy numbers. We're not going to get crazy numbers, but it's the time for horror right now. So that's what we're trying to strike while the iron's hot.
And the poster for Tales from the Narrow Bridge is Has an interesting story behind it too, doesn't it?
I don't know. It was interesting. I was on Twitter and we were looking for a poster, and I had an idea in my head, and I wasn't able to do it on my own. I'm not artistic, so I was like looking just around, like trying to find an artist, and this one artist on Twitter, Ty Haberichter, popped into my feed, and it was just like he did like really really nice composites and like just a really great job. So I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I got this independent movie. I love what you do. Would you mind doing it?" And we hammered out a price, and he came out with the post, and I'm a big fan of it. It came out really nice.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. It's got that feel that some of the '80s movies had, and
Hmm.
it looks very painterly as well,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
and the dynamic of all of the figures, all of the characters coming in and focusing down to the name, it's really dynamic and striking in the way that it uses negative space and so on. I also wanted to point out that one of the things that struck me about the film was the reuse of actors in all of the stories, and how, to me, it makes sense, because I'm thinking to myself, these people are telling the stories of the short films. They're introducing it, and so it makes sense that they would see themselves in the depiction of those particular tales they're telling each other at the campfire.
yeah. That was the intention, and I'm glad you picked up on it just from that. That's cool. It's a worry that like I have, because it was an idea, because we have a group of actors that like we worked with since we started, and we love working with each other, and we know each other. We know what we can do. We know all of that stuff. We know we can rely on each other, and then we bring in new actors too. We always bring in new actors. We have auditions. We bring people in, but we have like a core group that we just keep adding to. And so we started like a short, and the first like shorts that we did, uh, Dan Gregory is one of our actors. He's worked with us since the beginning, and he was in both shorts. And
Hmm.
so we were like, we need to, because we want to put him in the wraparound too. So like we need like a device that makes this work. And so each character who tells a story, they're in a story. They're in it. That's the one rule. Then there can be other characters who are also in it from the group of people telling the story, and from other people that are show up in the film too. So
Hmm.
I'm glad you picked up on it. I always worry about that with people, but yeah, it was fun. It was a way. I mean, there's the reason that we have in the script for it, but there's also it was just behind the scenes. We like working with each other, when you find a group of actors and like artists that you like working with, you just do it.
Yeah, it winds up being family, is what it really does.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you know what? If you are in the Orlando area, or if you're going to the Orlando area, you can go to the website orlando-film-festival.square.site and order your tickets uh, or passes for the Orlando Film Festival, and take in this and many other films. Um, all of them are award worthy, and they'll be competing for different awards. And I wish you guys luck out there,
Thank you.
because we and I can't wait to see. Is this going to be a whiffs? Is this submitted for whiffs?
Yes, yeah. We submitted as soon as it opened up. We submitted. We would love to come back as long as you guys will have us. We'll come back. Uh, It'll be fun. Okay,
Well,
no,
you guys
the
always.
film.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was in our screening. They have two screenings of each film at the Orlando Film Festival, and we're
Hmm.
on October 28th. That's next 1 week from today, Friday, at 6 p.m. And then on Halloween night at 8 p.m. we have another screening, which is cool. I love the idea of like film screening on Halloween night. Our horror movie, but we don't know too many people in Florida, so if you're in the area, come on out, and if you know people in the area, tell them to come on out. Oh, we'd love to fill the theater. It's a beautiful theater. We were there once before, so. Come on out. Have a good time.
And for the rest of you out there this weekend, make it a great weekend. Oh,
Yeah.
got the drink. There we go. Thanks a lot, Sam. Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too.